I'm here in West LA with Boba. This is Boba. He's named after Boba Fett.
Yeah, Boba Fett, Boba Tea.
And Boba Tea, there you go. So Boba is a Corona puppy. He's barely a year now, and he basically wasn't socialized because of coronavirus, and a lot of dogs have this problem. And so basically, he does not like people talking to him or his guardian. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how you can use a little kind of a variant of counter conditioning to help a dog learn that somebody talking to me not only is not something to protest, but is actually a good and positive thing, because that means I'm about to get a treat or reinforcement. That can be a treat, a pet, bouncing the ball, tug of war, whatever your dog really likes doing. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be walking back and forth here. I have a mic, so you're going to be able to hear me even if my back's to the camera. And basically, I'm going to ask her to put Boba into a sit. Now, when you're doing this, it's important to understand that I am asking her to put Boba into sit as an indication of how comfortable he is. Dogs are not going to feel comfortable sitting down next to something that is that they're afraid of, or that startles them, or whatever the case may be. Or if something comes up, approaches, and they stand up, that's their indication. I'm not fully comfortable. I want to be ready to move. And so a lot of people misinterpret this as the dog knows how to sit, he's being disobedient. If you ask your dog to sit once, maybe twice, very rarely do I even ask the second time, and I know my dog knows how to sit, then that's an indication that the environment is not right, there's too intense, there's something frightening, or that the dog disagrees with. So you want to move your dog further away, like 5 to 10 paces, ask for a sit again once in a nice tone, and if they don't do that, move a little bit further away. You want to be as close to the stimulus, I'm going to be the stimulus in this case, you want your dog to be as close to it as possible, but without your dog feeling cornered or frustrated or anxious or reactive. Now, I can move around a little bit and all that fun stuff, but if he's barking and lunging and air biting, then he's saying I'm really uncomfortable, and that is not going to help him get over this. All right, so now if the dog's sniffing or he starts to lose interest, that can be an indication that you're reached a level of comfort, and you could probably collapse the distance. Now, we've chosen this because there's not a lot of green space here. It's West LA, it's pretty industrial, or pretty urban. But basically what you want to do is you want to find a space, preferably with some green space, so the dog can have as a distraction. And you want to have enough space between a walkway where a lot of people are going to be walking and where the dog is going to be sitting. So I'm going to go ahead, and she's trying to get him to not dig. I'm going to have her go ahead and put it back in a sit. I'm going to start walking back and forth. I'm going to say his name or a platitude or some sort of a greeting as I'm passing. Each time I conclude doing that, she's going to say his marker word, which is yes, and then provide him with the treat. So what we're trying to do is basically say, when somebody says something to us, like I mentioned earlier, it's not a negative thing, it's actually a good and positive thing. It means something good's about to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and back up, and I'm going to start kind of facing in this direction. She's going to put him into a sit, and then we'll see how this goes. Now, when we're doing it, we'd like him, you see he's looking at me. There we go. All right, so, hey, how you doing? Now, when I first do this, I'm just going to say it, and as the helper, I'm going to stop here and give her an opportunity to put him back into a sit. And if he sits and gets up, it could be an indication he's uncomfortable. It could also be an indication he's kind of bored. So it's a case-by-case basis. You have to kind of read the dog's body language. His body language, to me, looks nice and comfortable. You see his mouth is open. He is looking around and enjoying his environment. He's sniffing the ground. Those are all indications he's comfortable. You see the mouth going from open to close, getting stiff, snapping the head around, not grooming himself. Grooming is a good thing. But if you see it stiff, the mouth closes, they start moving in a staggered motion. Those are all indications it's uncomfortable. All right, let's put him in a sit again. It's like, but I heard something. There we go. Hey, Boba dog. So I'm basically, as I'm doing this is a very compressed version. Wow, that's a good looking dog. I'm gradually making my volume a little bit louder and louder as I do this. Wow, that's a really good looking dog. Hey, do you come here often? And so all we want these to be is really short little segments. And again, he gets up. That might be an indication he is comfortable and bored. I'm going to have her take one step forward and see if she can put him into a sit again. Now, when you first get there, make sure you let your dog explore the environment before you start doing this, if it's a new place the dog hasn't been to. Hey, you're a really good-looking puppy. Now, I tried to push that one a little bit just so you could see kind of a little bit of a fail, and I'm gonna kind of turn and give him my back to help him feel a little bit more relaxed. So he's also reactive to eye contact. And so I think it was a combination of me pausing, eye contact, and a little bit longer duration. So anytime you get that sort of thing, it's not a fail. It just means that we pushed the boundary. We got a little bit, as I like to say, greedy. We always get greedy, but you really want to end on a good positive. And the whole point of this activity is we want him to experience the whole thing without any of that reactivity. Let's see if we can get him to sit again. Now you see he's breathing heavy. That can also be an indication of stress. There we go. Wow, that's a really good looking dog you got there. And so that time I intentionally didn't look. So as you're doing this, you're gonna find different people are gonna have different mannerisms. Wow, that's a really good looking black lab. So now, and you can also compartmentalize this. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give him eye contact without saying anything. Whoop, I'm gonna wait for her to reset him. That was me. I'm gonna snap next time so she's an indication. So when I look at him and he looks at me, I'm gonna snap, and then I want you to say your marker word. Now this is a little bit harder to see. So the elements of talking to him is one thing, looking at him is one thing. So if the dog has difficulty with both of those, we can either increase the distance, or we can just do a singular, just the look or just the talk. Or we can have the look be very short and the talk be very short, and as well as being quiet. So there's a lot of customization you're going to do in this sort of exercise, and it's important that we're going at the dog's pace. It's not important that we complete the exercise. The importance is that we get the results the exercise is designed to engender, which is that somebody can stop and talk to Boba or his guardian and he doesn't react. Let's try that one more time. So again, your helper is going to have to pause many times. Hey, that's a good looking dog. That's a really good looking dog there. Did you see that? That was beautiful. Do you see how he turned his head away? He's starting to recognize if I look at somebody, I'm about to get a treat. So I see the person, he talked to me, and I look away from him and I look at my guard and my handler. Now, one thing you can do, if I can achieve that again, is sometimes dogs don't want you to be here. And so looking away can be considered a cutoff signal. So if you could have your helper see that he looks away and then the person walks away, at first, for a fearful dog, that can help because so if I don't want somebody to approach me, I just look away and they go away. Most dogs, when they don't want somebody to come approach them and the person approaches, they growl, they bark, they lunge, and that causes the person to go away, and that reinforces that particular behavior. So in this case, if he looks away and the person immediately moves perpendicularly away from him, that's actually, wow, my look away is pretty powerful. Now let's see if we can do that again. Hey, what a really good looking puppy you got there. He didn't do that, so she can go ahead and mark. And I'm gonna do it this way, see if this body mechanic's a little bit easier. Wow, what a really good looking dog you got there. Now he turned away to really do some grooming, but you saw as soon as he did that as a helper, I turned and beelined it out of there. So this is a variation of the engage-disengage game. So it's important you have a marker word, and you gotta find your environment. If you hear right now, besides the crow, there's not a lot of sounds. If you're doing this in an environment where there's a child crying, there's construction going on, there's somebody with a weed eater or a leaf blower, that's not a great time to do this sort of thing. That auxiliary sort of stimulus can actually influence things going on. So you might have to find a park. What I usually recommend is finding a park that has a walking path, because a lot of people are going to be walking down that path, and it's a park, you have all this green space, so you can find whatever distance you need to do in order to get your dog close enough to the thing so that it feels relaxed enough to just experience it, and then we mark and reward that being quiet experience. Well, this is my buddy Boba, and these are some tips and tricks that you can use if you have a dog that's shy or fearful when people come up to approach you or talk to you or the dog.